I'm going to be showing you how to make my family's famous Bissinger apple dumplings. My mom started in the fair business when she was 16, moving on to dumplings in her 20s. We are celebrating our apple dumpling business's 25th anniversary this summer and grow in popularity each year. We do 8 fairs, Bloomsburg Fair being our biggest. You can also find us at the Allentown Fair and the Kutztown Folk Festival. I grew up in the business and can basically make them in my sleep at this point, so here's how we do it. The first step to creating our delicious dumplings is peeling the apples. We roll our dough so that we can fit 15 dumplings on a tray, so 15 apples are necessary. Our peelers peel the apple as well as core it and cut it into a spiral formation. For the next part, you'll need a bowl, a liquid measuring cup, and a wooden spoon. 4 cups of our hand-mixed dough is mixed with a 3/4 cup of ice-cold water to form the dough ball that will eventually wrap around the apple. Too much water and the dough will stick to the rolling surface. Too little water and it will lose elasticity and not be able to stretch to encase the apple. The dough is the reason our dumplings are so delicious, and it's a recipe I can't disclose. A lot of apple dumplings have very thick, doughy crust. We have perfected our dough recipe so that each dumpling has a crispy, thin, and flaky dough. The process behind the dough is very tedious. We make the dough mixture in large batches. 1/4 of a batch takes, on average, 15 minutes to mix by hand, or a full hour to mix a whole batch. For the Bloomsburg Fair, we use around 60 to 70 batches of dough, which requires 60 to 70 hours of dough mixing. From experience, it's definitely not a fun job. The dough is then kneaded and formed into a long log, which you saw earlier, and rolled out into a big rectangle as I'm working on doing right now. It looks much easier than it is. You have to learn how long and wide the dough needs to be to make 15 dumplings, and to remember to always work from the middle, otherwise you won't get the correct shape and size. So after the dough is rolled out, you'll want to cut off the sides of the rectangle to form straight lines, and then cut the dough into 15 even squares. You'll see that I use my hand to try and make nice even cuts. An apple is then placed in the middle of each of the squares, filled with cinnamon sugar and wrapped in the dough. This is why our apple peelers are so fantastic. They core the apple for us so that there's a hole in the middle of the apple for the cinnamon sugar, and then due to its spiral cut, the mixture of the cinnamon and the sugar seeps into the apple for more flavor. When folding the dough, you'll start with the diagonal ends of the pastry and fold them into the middle of the dumpling. You never want to press the ends of the dough into the middle of the apple because that part of the dough will remain unbaked and doughy. An essential part of the wrapping process is making sure the corners are pinched closed. Otherwise, the juices that the apple and sugar mixture creates will leak out. The dough should be wrapped tightly around the dumpling so that it doesn't fall apart in the oven. The dumplings are then placed on a tray that has a layer of plastic and parchment to keep the mess that the dumplings can make from burning onto the trays. Then the dumplings are topped with cinnamon sugar and put in the oven for 45 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit.